Hi, my name is Jamie Lynch, and you are listening to Eating Habits, my podcast about everything restaurants. I will explore the human element of the hospitality business, and I'll talk to the who's who in restaurants, explore their stories, and hear what's on their minds in the ever-changing landscape of the food and beverage industry.
My name is Samantha Allen. I'm the owner and executive pastry chef for Wentworth and Fenn here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you are listening to Eating Habits.
Awesome job.
Thank
you, Chef. Welcome aboard.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad I've got you in the hot seat.
Yes, at the bakery.
And we finally met.
Finally, after 10 years.
10 years. So we were kind of joking about that. Like, I think, when did you start in Charlotte 10 years ago? When did you move to Charlotte? What was it? All right, let's start with who you are, where you're from, how you ended up here.
Okay. So originally from San Antonio, moved with my family a bit, landed here in Charlotte, and then I did not know what I wanted to do. It was either going to be baking or art. And
How old were you when you moved here?
Way young. Yeah, like super young. Did middle school, high school, all that stuff.
Okay, so you kind of grew up in Charlotte area.
Charlotte's home for
Gotcha.
sure. And yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, artist or pastry chef, but I figured if I was going to be a starving artist, if I became a pastry chef, I could at least eat my art. So there's that.
Nice thinking.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. And since I lived here, I was like, well, what culinary school do I want to go to? And the closest at the time, Johnson & Wales, was down in Charleston, and I was stoked for that. I was like, oh my God, Charleston's amazing. Let's go. And then the year that I was supposed to go, they were like, and we're moving to Charlotte. I was like, okay, here we are.
So did you end up going to culinary school here?
Yeah.
You went to the
Johnson & Wales.
Johnson & Wales here?
Mm-hmm. Yep, went to Johnson & Wales here, and then did 2 years, got my associates, and I was, as great as school was, it was fine, but it's just not for me. I would rather work.
Yeah.
So, and learn from other chefs.
Yep.
For sure.
Definitely. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
I always advise everybody to do that. I spend a fortune on culinary school. And I learned a lot, actually. And I wouldn't take it back because I went to New England Culinary Institute in Vermont. It's now closed. But it was the school had a 7-to-1 student ratio.
Oh, wow.
Student to instructor. So it was like being in a real kitchen.
Yeah. And
the guy who ran our culinary program, this master French chef guy, knew everyone. Mm-hmm. And he actually was the one who placed me at the restaurants that I ended up working at in San Francisco and New York.
Awesome.
So it was worth it for that. Like, not even just the educational part of it, which was fine. Like, I learned a lot of basics, but the connections, like, were really awesome.
Yeah.
But you can save yourself a lot of money by working for great people.
Yes, and even my assistant now, Yusuf, he went to CP and is great. Like, he's so technical and honestly more precise than I am.
I love that.
And I'm glad that he went, but he even said he was like, I feel like I was like this before. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you have it in you.
Right.
You could have saved money, but we all,
Yeah.
That's why I only went for my 2-year degree. So, and then decided just to get out in the field and work.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So what year did you graduate from JWU? That was
2010.
Okay.
Yeah, 2010.
So 12 years ago.
Yes.
What did you do when you graduated? So you graduated with pastry as your focus.
Yep, solely pastry. Whenever at Johnson & Wales, I can't speak for any other culinary schools, but there you have to do an internship. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I did mine at Amelie's when it was still in its original location, and they had only had that one. So, back then, as small as Charlotte was and the food scene was then, right. That was a big deal because, it's Amelie's. Like, there weren't really any bakeries around.
No, there was Nova's, I think.
Yeah.
Which didn't do pastries. It was just bread.
Yeah. And so I worked third shift, 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. And that was a huge lifestyle change for me because I was not used to that.
Yeah.
So let's just say that did not last long.
Yeah. And
then from there, I ended up working for Something Classic. Catering is fine. It's just not really for me. Mm-hmm. And then I landed up at UNCC, and I was their assistant pastry chef for a long time.
What was it about the catering stuff that didn't appeal to you? I'm curious if it's the same for pastry as it is for savory.
I guess I don't mind making a lot of tiny things, but after a while it just gets really monotonous.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I will say Something Classic was great because the girl that I worked under, she helped me like navigate, like, do you want to do cakes? Do you want to do like smaller pastries? And I kind of felt like, I guess, in the in-between, which reflects here. But from there and like taking those skills to UNCC, it was very evident catering was not for me.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so how long were you doing the catering thing?
So I was only at Something Classic for maybe a year.
Yeah.
And then I ended up at UNCC for 4 years.
What were you doing at UNCC?
So UNCC was just huge.
Yeah.
We did a bunch of different orders for like all the student functions, mass orders for all the dining halls, but mainly I was hired on because I could decorate cakes, and
Right.
they did an ungodly amount of cakes.
Really?
Yeah.
For what?
Everything.
Really?
Like chancellor events, student, they
All
just
like inter-school stuff?
only at the campus. They had, I get the football team had just started, so it was all like alumni football, just cakes,
events and things
all the time.
Gotcha.
I think at one point we were doing 2 speed racks worth of cakes.
Wow.
It was a lot.
So is that where you developed your technique? Because you have a very specific style of cake decorating.
So I'm going to attribute the speed and everything else to Joe, who was the executive pastry chef there. And he's like old school New York pastry chef, which was great because you don't find a lot of those anymore.
Yeah.
And so learning how to have the urgency and everything when an angry New York man is yelling at you to get things done.
I worked for many of them.
Yes.
That's where I cut my teeth, so I understand.
Yes. Yeah, he showed me a lot of tricks that I never learned in school, and that definitely paid off to now. And then from there, whenever I got the job at the Fig Tree, Greg and Sarah were amazing because they were just kind of like, do your thing.
Right.
Like, here's your guidelines, do your thing. And from there, I definitely blossomed my style as of now because everything kind of shifted once I hit Fig Tree.
Right. I think the Fig Tree, and I had to kind of like hear your lineage to figure out like where I think I heard of you. And I think that's where I first was like introduced. I was like, who is this? Who is this pastry chef? Cool. So when you were at how long were you at Fig Tree?
Almost 5 years.
Okay. So you
I was there for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Greg and Sarah family.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And so that's where you started to really develop your own kind of kitchen voice, your own style, your own approach.
Yeah, I always loved plating, and I definitely wanted to get back into that. UNCC was great, but as much as we were doing, it was just too like much of mass production.
Yeah.
And for me, and I hold this saying very close, quality over quantity. And Fig Tree, it's not, it's not a giant restaurant, but they can definitely push out some covers.
Sure.
So it was enough for me to be like, because it's all scratch there, which is really important to me also. Getting there and having a little bit smaller scale of stuff, but doing better quality work was key. So
yeah, nice. And then, so you were there for 5 years. What made you decide to leave?
So essentially, because I had been there for that long, and you know how it is, like, there's like a section of time where everyone is your family and it kind of seems perfect and you're like, this is great. Like, I love everyone here.
Yeah.
I had an assistant pastry chef, Mackenzie, and she was amazing. Again, I'm a firm believer you should train your employees to be better than you. And I think that she probably is better than me.
I attribute most of my success to that.
Yes.
Is to training people better than me.
And we were both kind of like getting to the point where we were like, well, like, do we just, do we stay? Do we keep cultivating this? What do we do? And finding La Belle Helene was opening. And she looked at me and she's like, they need an executive pastry chef. I was like, if you don't apply, I'm going to. And so I kind of like pushed her out of the nest. And after she had left and, some other people had left, I was just kind of like, it's not the same as it was. And it's still great, but I'm kind of hitting my head on the ceiling. And even still at the time, like, I mean, Charlotte's going to keep growing, but it's still just, there weren't many fine dining type restaurants and everything else. And I don't think Greg and Sarah would ever think of it as sabotage or anything like that. But to me, I was like, it would just be weird to make a lateral move and be like, I'm going to go be executive pastry chef over here. Like, sorry guys, that to me, that's kind of fucked up. So I was like, well, I've done this long enough. I kind of want to I really love doing cakes. I miss doing cakes. You know, I feel like I have enough of a following per se.
Yep.
Let's see where this takes me. And I had a very, very massive crash course into seeing how much things cost. Because in my head, I was like, I'm going to start this business and we're going to have all this stuff and it's going to be amazing. And then I was humbled very quickly.
We're going to need to talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Yeah.
So go into some detail.
So
like
decided, okay, going to start a bakery. And anyone who knows me, I am not the pink sprinkle bubbly poppy person that
you don't say.
Yeah, that most people think pastry chefs are. I like everything dark. I like everything black, green, gold, name it. That is me. And so I was trying to figure out a name for the bakery, and everyone was like, do a play on words, Sam's Sprinkle Shop. And I was like, that's fucking terrible. I hate that. I hate it. No.
You're like, me and sprinkles in the same
not at all.
Not happening.
And so I was actually down in Charleston, and I was trying to find something like to name it. And I was like, it'll just come. It'll come. And I was actually walking, I think, on Meeting Street, and I looked up and saw Wentworth Street because it connects between that and King. And I was like, oh, Wentworth's such a handsome name. I really like that.
Yeah.
And just went about my trip. And then ended up over, it's not abandoned now because the Preservation Society has fixed it up, but the Naval Base, they have a Fenn Street, but F-I-N-N. And I remember being like, oh my God, Wentworth and Fenn. Like I had this whole moment. And at the time my ex was like, yeah. And I was like, we're naming the bakery that. And I just kind of ran with it. It's a joke now because it kind of sounds like a law firm.
Yeah.
But that's fine, you know.
It sounds very like studious and like proper.
Because people go, I didn't know what you were. And I'm like, we'll put gourmet baker underneath it.
There you
Here
go.
we are. Little clarification.
We'll leave some breadcrumb clues for people to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you because I was like, I just from what I know of you on social media and stuff, I didn't realize it like the story. So that's interesting. It's kind of like your search for what it was going to be.
Yes.
Gotcha. Did you already were you planning to do a brick and mortar bakery at that point? Because I know your plan shifted after that, right?
Yeah. So
we can talk about that a little bit, but
originally I wanted to do a bakery and wine room. Okay. And still the end goal, a little closer now than I was then. But again, like I said, I was extremely humbled when I found out how much everything costs. And I was like, okay, we are going to have to build from the bottom here, like incredibly. Right. And so I got approved through the Department of Agriculture, the house. And I baked probably out of the house for about a year. And then I think there was a 6-month overlap, and then I finally like gave my notice and left Fig, and I was solely just doing the bakery. And I started doing all the local markets like in Plaza and Dilworth and all of that, which helped. But I was like, we need something. Like the pop-ups are fine, but we need something more permanent. And I remember seeing at one of the pop-ups, somebody had a vintage camper as like a clothing shop or something. And I was like, that's neat. And everything in my world is kind of vintage anyway, if you will. So I was like, we can buy a camper and then sell pastries out of that. And luckily my ex she was fine with being like, cool, we'll do this.
Yeah.
And so we found the camper. She was the one who, because she was a fabricator, she actually rebuilt the entire thing.
Oh, cool.
So it was completely custom as a bakery storefront.
Yep. It was like an old Airstream or something, wasn't it? Or was it a camp? Like
it was a Shasta.
Okay, cool. The Shasta camper.
Yep. Yeah, Selma the Shasta.
Oh, nice. You still have it?
I actually just sold her.
Oh, no.
Yep. So.
Did you cry?
I had a moment where I was like, am I making a mistake? And I was like, no. Like, because, after we had the camper finished, I actually was like, I'm going to blow this house up if I do not get out of here. Because at that point, like, bedroom, kitchen, living room, kitchen. And I was like, I don't leave this house ever.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here.
I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this place.
And so I found a space at Gibson Mill in Concord because they were similar to Camp North End. They just had rooms where you could kind of upfit it. And so it kind of looked like something out of Saw. and it was very scary. This kitchen in the back of this warehouse.
Is that what attracted you to it? You were like, oh, this sketchy like horror. I'm like, into that.
This is weird, but some fresh paint will do good.
I can afford it.
I can afford it. Yeah, because beggars can't be choosers.
Right.
And there was a place to park the camper inside, so it worked at the time. And so I was there for about a year, and then between wedding cakes and these markets and popping up in the camper, I was like, a lot of people were like, when are you going to have a brick and mortar? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's probably time to start looking for that.
How long were you operating out of the camper before you seriously started considering doing, because by this point you had opened the business, basically launched it twice, right? Like, so you had a better idea of like what it's all going to take, how much money everything costs.
Yes.
So like at what point how long were you doing the pops-ups out of the camper before you decided, all right, I'm going to really go down this path to do a brick and mortar?
So between without the camper and then with the camper, it was probably close to 2 years almost. Yeah. And then started looking for a space for the brick and mortar, and just, again, if people know me, I can't just do basic. That's just not in my nature.
Right.
So I'm like, I can't put this in a strip mall somewhere. It's just not going to fit. I need to find something that is eclectic and somewhere that supports small business. And I knew the Prism guys down the way here, and I was like, Camp North End's kind of cool. Like, I don't really know anything about it, because at the time I still lived in Concord, and that's 30 minutes up 85, so I never really came down here unless it was for work.
Right.
So I came down here and met with people in the office, and I was like, look, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Do you have a space that would entertain? And they actually showed me the space that we're in now, and Camp North End was drastically different then.
Yeah.
The building we're in now was very scary looking. I was just kind of like, okay, I think we can put this here. That's cool.
You really had to drink the Kool-Aid. And they're like, I looked at some spaces in here in early on, before any of this stuff was like built. None of the new buildings were done. No. It was pretty sketch.
I was like, I'm going to get murdered. This is great. Awesome.
Yeah.
And Tommy, the one guy in the office, was like, just trust the vision. And I was like, okay.
You're like,
sure.
Trust is not my strength.
I was like, control problems. Okay, this is great. But we ended up, making a deal. At the time, the total space was only 1,000 square feet, but a big enough kitchen, still had the camper, could take it out. And because we were doing so many wedding cakes and stuff, I guess part A of the storefront was a tasting room. And the room we're sitting in now was my office.
Gotcha.
And naturally, because why not, the day that I moved in, the next day Cooper shut us down for COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Now what? So how'd that work out for you? What did you do?
I think as shitty as COVID was, I think it was almost a saving grace, kind of, because all of us here had to pivot. Like Greg and Sabrina were opening too that week, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I remember, because I'm really good friends with Jasmine. She was their pastry chef, and now she's doing the donuts for them and under her name. But I remember me and her would kind of meet in the courtyard, and we're like, I don't know what we're going to do. And she's like, girl, I don't even know. And I'm like, cool, I'm glad I'm not alone here. But but we all just kind of we're like, okay, I guess we'll all just do to-go stuff.
Yeah.
And so we ended up doing themed variety boxes. Camp North End was truly great and helped out with, they did like camp at home stuff, and would buy something from every vendor and put it together and
like a pack, like a care pack or something like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and send it out. So there were ways to still make money.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we were just pivoting, but maybe it worked out in our favor, because at the time I was like, we don't need a storefront. We have the camper, and we can do the tastings here and this and that. And then I think the November of COVID, I was like, fuck it. People don't understand. Like, this is confusing.
Yeah.
We're just going to make it an actual storefront.
Yeah.
And I did not want like just the counter that you come in and walk up to. I hate that. I'm just like, another boring whatever. Like,
yep.
And I really hate the cold cases. I think they're really ugly. It's just not my jam.
Yeah. It's hard to make them look cool.
Yeah. And I'm very much like, in another life, I would have been an interior designer. I love architecture and design and all of that. So for me, aesthetically speaking, I was like, that is not going to happen here.
Right,
like, we're not doing that. And so a lot of people will come in and say, oh, it looks very European in here. Everything seems very European, which is, oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I designed it myself.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you. Appreciate you. But yeah, so instead of the cold case, like I opted out for a bread rack and snack rack type thing. You know, the pastry cart was found in an old building in Albemarle. And
cool.
It was actually built inside that building. It was a counter at like a general store.
Yeah.
But it was like falling down, but kind of like the camper, like we kind of saved the bones and then rebuilt it back to something better.
Yeah.
So that's how the pastry cart came to be, and slowly things started opening back up. Thank God. Cause I think we were all going a little crazy.
Yep. For sure. And it was it was a lot tougher here in Charlotte than so we had the businesses in Charleston, which were a lot looser down there.
Yeah,
which
South
really,
Carolina was better.
It helped us. Like it helped carry the group to be able to open. And we actually opened Tempest that March, the March
of COVID.
Oh, it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like trying to open a business in the middle of like everything closing down.
You're
but
like, cool, can't be around anybody, but let's do this.
But I mean, the money's spent. Like here we are. Let's just open up and see what happens.
And that's what I told someone else. I was like, I have spent an ungodly amount of money to get into this space. I was like, we're not closing. I don't like Cooper can come down here and rip the keys out of my
door's
hand.
staying open.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, bud, it's happening. But yeah, so things started opening back up, and people of course started coming back out and all of that, and actively having the storefront before, it was just too small. And then I went to the office and I was like, I know this is the original building to the site, blah, 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 but I was like, is there a way we can expand this? Like, we need something. It doesn't have to be major, but just something.
Yeah.
And so I worked with their planners and general contractors and stuff, and we, figured out the space. And then I think as of now, it is just shy of being 2 months old. Yeah. And it is so much better.
Yeah. You're in your happy place now?
Yes.
You got enough space to do your creative process?
Yeah, enough space. People can actually come in and hang out now.
You have more than one person at a time.
Yes.
Standing in.
Yeah, because it definitely got very snug. And then like coming out of COVID, people would be like, I don't want to stand next to you.
I'm still that way sometimes.
Same. I mean,
I go in the grocery store, I'm like, stay in your lane. Yeah. Like, over there.
I didn't like people to begin with.
Yeah.
Sorry, people. Yeah. But now I'm just like, can you do COVID? Like, just kind of keep it back a little bit. But yeah, so much more space. I didn't realize just with all the construction at Camp North End, they had a bunch of barricades up, but when they took them down, we had a front porch. That was great. I was like,
sweet,
awesome.
We'll just picked up some extra space out here. You're not paying rent on it.
Yeah, I was like, we'll put some chairs and stuff out there and capitalize on
it.
Nice. And I haven't broke the news yet, other than to just a few people, but working again with another general contractor now in the room we're sitting in, because I can't stop. We're going to blow this wall out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
very cool.
We have had so many people come in that like, we'll still have the big table and everything, but we'll have more like nice cozy seating and all of that. So the
people can hang around a minute, drink a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're going to be bigger again soon.
Nice.
In January. Come January.
Heard it here first.
Heard it here first.
Awesome. So you did all this on your own. Mm-hmm. This is all self-funded.
Yeah.
You don't have any business partners.
Nope.
What was that experience like?
Shitty.
Tell me more.
Yes. I don't think people realize, I guess technically, like, I'm considered a bootstrap business. Like, everything is just from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people talk about this enough, and I wish they did, because I've had people come to me and they're like, how the hell did you start a business? Like, I don't get it, because, a lot of the times you do have 4 or 5 investors involved, or, one giant silent partner, or whatever it may be. And opening a business is not for the faint of heart. Like, you have to be tough when you don't want to be tough, and you have to make decisions where you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm so uncomfortable right now. It is painful. And then, I mean, there have definitely been times where the bank account has gone into the negative, and I'm like, okay, I gotta fucking figure this out. Like, because no one prepares you for quarterly taxes and payroll taxes and then yearly taxes and all of that. And it's
payroll taxes.
It sucks.
It just
like,
goes on and on.
Yeah, people are like, I'm gonna open a business. I'm like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Have fun. Have fun.
Right.
You let me know how far you get.
Yep.
But I feel like if more people talked about it, maybe it wouldn't be like such a stigma or whatever it is that surrounds that conversation. But for me personally, like, it was a lot of savings that went into, because we've obviously gone through a lot of phases. It was a lot of savings that started the first phase of getting the kitchen ready for Department of Agriculture, then funding the camper. And then from there, and this really sucks, and I would honestly rather have my mom back, but it is what it is. My mom ended up dying, and she didn't leave me and my sister like a ton, but I had enough money to like buy a new oven and a cooler and a freezer. So, and then some other odds and ends that we needed. So in a way, so maybe bad joke, maybe my mom was kind of my investor. You know, here we are.
Right. Sure.
But with that phase, I mean, that's how I funded that. And then, you know, of course, just working and building collateral and then from there, taking the leap of faith to come here down to Camp North End. If we hadn't had come down here, we wouldn't have made it. Yeah. People, and I get it, like Concord is still a small town. People don't want to pay, you know, $110 for a cake. And I get it. That's totally fine. Right. But people down here are more open-minded to different flavor concepts and paying for quality and that kind of thing. So coming down here was, knock on wood, absolutely the right move.
Yeah, I mean, seems like it.
Yeah.
So how is business going now that things are basically open? I mean, you know, COVID's, you know.
It is what it is. I don't think anyone cares at this point. It is what it is.
It's the new flu. It's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
But, you know, people aren't as terrified, so people are out and about. So how's business going?
Things are so much better. There's been a few things, I guess, like, of course, between COVID and then just something that couldn't be helped was the construction here. Like, it had to be done. Yep. But we definitely took a beating when that happened. Yeah. But, and I'm going to say it louder for the people in the back. The roads at camp are open. Yeah. Please come to Camp North End. Like, I know it was a pain in the ass before, but which I get because half the time I was like, fucking construction. I'm going to
so let's talk about Camp North End real quick, because I have not mentioned that on the podcast. And for people that listen, this is a large mixed-use complex. It used to be, I think it was like an artillery storage thing during World War I or II or something.
Yeah, so like Old Mill was originally...
Ford Motor Company was here at one point.
Was originally a Model A and Model T production facility. And then when the war happened, the government took it over for like missiles and stuff.
Yeah, like bombs and things,
And then it sat vacant forever. And then Rite Aid took it over as like a distribution facility.
Hub or something.
Yeah, because... before signage is much better now, but before you would see like Rite Aid signs everywhere, and you'd be like, what?
Like who would come here for
I was like, what?
medicine?
I know.
Like,
Eckerd's, what? Yeah. This is an old name. But yeah, so that, and then Atco is the company out of New York that bought the property and has been essentially flipping it in stages. Yep.
And so now it's a huge like outdoor mall with tons of cool concepts.
I would say it's an outdoor Optimus Hall for anyone who hasn't been here. Yeah.
There you go. Do you have any idea what the split is between like food and hospitality stuff and then like retail-y other, because there's some businesses too. I know Rachel Sutherland's next door. So there's some like communications and PR stuff. There's the Mats, I think, have their studios over there. You got Prism. They're doing custom bikes. So there's like a lot of cool like shit in here.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, which is great for the people who are in the office, like they were adamant it must be small business. But from there, I think food and beverage definitely dominate because people want to come here and eat and drink. Yep. But Prism, they're the OGs to camp. Like they were the first ones here when it was super scary.
Yeah, they actually bought both my motorcycles when I sold the farm.
Yeah. Jake and Zach are great.
They were awesome.
Yeah,
because I had I mean, I had an old like 90s Harley and an old Triumph that
nice.
when we sold the farm, I was like, what am I going to do? Like,
Yeah,
I can't afford this habit anymore. And so I called them up, and they were like, came and looked at them, and they were like, "Fucking yeah, we'll buy them." And they paid more than they should have for them.
Oh,
they were super
guys.
awesome about it.
Good guys.
And they're like, "We're gonna turn these into like badass bikes."
I like it.
They're like, "Don't worry about it."
That's good. At least they were taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they, they're here. Good postage. They do like illustrated paperwork and don't go in there if you have like a pen and notebook problem because you'll spend a lot of money. Canteen is just about to open. They're a new bar here. Black Moth Bar is in an old Airstream. Hex is the coffee roaster on site.
Yep.
Locae, and then soon we'll have seemingly overzealous, which is all a hub to Huga. So it's everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's definitely become like this destination spot. And it was, I remember, so the construction over here, or when Prism was here, was how long ago? Like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Did they start really,
I think so.
Ramping it up?
Yeah.
And it was not pretty.
No.
It was pretty dicey.
It was awful.
It was run down. It was pretty sketch.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember when I came and looked at the space, Prism was there. They had the goats out there. Did you ever see that?
We used to have goats. I don't know where the goats are now.
I think they went back to whatever farm the developers bought like this rented a herd of goats and they just moved around to like clear the property.
Which is smart.
And
everybody's so fascinated by animals. They're just like, oh, there's goats. And I'm like, it's random, but welcome to Camp North End.
Yeah, I guess. That's what we got.
Yeah.
It's funny. They might be back once the weeds start growing, they'll bring them back around.
I've had some people ask me where they are, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, shit, where are the goats? I don't know where the goats. Yeah. I'm like, they'll be back one day.
Yeah. We're waiting for the weeds to grow.
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. Okay, so that's Camp North End. Super cool spot. A lot of traffic now.
Yeah, better for business now, like getting out of COVID and all of that stuff. And also with us expanding and shifting, because before we were kind of just in a nook, so no one could really see us. But we've now, with the expansion, the door faces Camp Road. Yep. So we're way more visible, which is amazing. And then on the weekends, Friday nights are great. There's live music. You can walk around and have drinks and food and move around on the property. You don't just have to stay stationary.
Right. You're not caged into one bar or whatever. You can kind of mingle around. That's pretty cool.
They have a DJ on one point of the property, a live band on the other side, and we're open late Friday and Saturdays. So that way you can come in until 8:00 and grab coffee and pastries at, after dinner, that type of thing.
What time does that nightlife thing start? Like the bands and stuff and music?
I think around 5:36.
So after it starts at Friday? Mm-hmm. Okay, so after work Friday, they're
yep,
let's party time for the weekend. That's cool.
Kick off to the weekend. Saturdays are always busy, no matter what.
Yeah, people are off. They're out lingering and seeing what's going on.
But and we do everyone kind of has a thing for Saturday here. So we do biscuit Saturday. So it's chef's choice biscuit every Saturday, but it's not small, it's giant. Yeah. It's giant biscuit for $6, but you also get a compound butter that comes with it. And then, we have all of our other stuff, and they'll, depending on what weekend it is, we just did Around the Crown, which was last Saturday, was crazy. I wish every Saturday was like that. Yeah. But I remember I went to a market before I sold the camper, and I came back and it was Empanada Fest, and I'm really bad about looking at the calendar events for here. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, where did all these people come from? And I remember I went to park the camper, and the staff was having to shut down the open warehouses because people were trying to park in them because there were so many people here. I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is insane. So depending on events, and then just being the weekend, we're rocking and rolling all weekend long. And then Sundays are hit or miss. Just if people want to be out or want to come out after church or whatever, but it's still a good day.
Cool. What are people after here now? What are you do a lot of cakes?
Yes.
Your cakes are beautiful.
Thank you.
They're super cool.
Thank you.
Corey and I are going to hit you up. We're getting married next year.
I was say call me.
Yeah. We're getting married next September, so a year from
it.
now. So we're going to start planning.
Yes.
A wedding cake. That's my secret motive for setting up this.
I love it.
I was
That's
like,
perfect.
all right, we gotta get Sam on the podcast. I can ask her about
I'll
a
give
wedding
you guys
cake.
pastries. Y'all can taste all the things.
Yeah, cool. So what is your split now? Like, are you doing how much pastries versus cakes versus breads? Like, what does your mix look like now?
So, I mean, we're still cake heavy. I think, thankfully people are always going to want the wedding cakes and anniversary and birthday cakes. We've actually slowed down a little bit in the wedding cake department, which I mean, it's fine because we still do a ton of birthday cakes and stuff. The front of house with the pastries and bread has picked up immensely. And I guess, and I didn't think about it until the other day, other than verdant bread, no one really does a lot of bread here. And especially on the Camp North end side of town, this is it. There's nothing over here. So people are like, bread? Do you have bread? I need bread. And I'm like, okay,
hold on.
we're getting it. It's coming right now. So towards the weekend, we're doing 3 to 4 varieties of bread. As much as we can bake and fit on the pastry cart, we're making. I've also kind of been working with Julia at Plant Joy, and we've done a good chunk of pastries for them. So
cool.
To Yusuf, my assistant, to his demise, because bless him, he puts up with me. I'm like, we're going to do vegan, gluten-free, and regular pastries now. Aren't you excited? And he was like, Sam, what are you doing?
He's like, we're a bake shop. We've got flour everywhere.
Yeah, I was like,
how do I do this?
Yeah, I was like, get ready.
How do you do that? So how do you gluten-free things when you have a bake shop that's got flour in it and stuff?
So, and I told Miss Julia this. I was like, look, I'm very butter and flour. I was like, we'll make this work.
Yeah.
But we'll do production for the gluten-free and vegan stuff first.
Yep.
And then we'll roll into the regular production. But that way we can, because we of course clean every day after it, but we'll do that first so there's no cross-contamination.
Nice.
But that has definitely, because, and y'all know, there's so many different dietary restrictions. We definitely get a lot more vegan customers and gluten-free, and then people eating both at once. So there's just, between regular pastries, the vegan gluten-free, the bread, that production has ramped up immensely.
Okay, so now you brought it up. Gluten-free bread, yay or nay? You got to be honest. I don't want any political correct answer.
As a pastry chef, I think it tastes like shit. Okay. That's fine. I can understand if you truly have celiac disease. I hate it for you because I'm lactose intolerant. Right. And trust me.
Yeah.
Ain't no one's stopping me from eating cheese or ice cream. And then it's my own fault if I feel horrible.
Right. Right. I'm making a choice.
Yes. I don't care for it. And I'm it has taken a minute to even figure out the right proportions because we use Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour.
Yep.
It has taken a minute to understand okay, we're gonna have to add a quarter more here or less here. The ratios are weird with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, nothing will ever be like butter and flour. It just won't. It just won't.
Okay.
And I can understand those who have the dietary restrictions or choice to be vegan or gluten-free. That's fine.
Yeah.
But as someone who's done it for 15 years, I'm it's just not going to be as great.
Right.
We're going to try and make it as great as we can.
Right.
But
totally.
Yeah. And I'm a big bread person. I love to eat bread.
I do too.
So,
I'm a fan of bread.
Yeah,
That's bread. I think bread, coffee, and now sweets.
Yeah.
It used to be.
Glad that y'all came then.
Yeah. Well, it used to be, beer, wine, cigarettes.
Sure.
Right? It was
I mean, you traded out for 3 good options.
Yeah. So I'm all right, well, I can't do any of these anymore. So, all right, coffee.
Yeah. No one will ever stop me from the coffee. I can never. I had to not drink caffeine for something a couple weeks ago, and I was I had to stop at midnight the night before and then couldn't all the next day. I was like, I might murder somebody.
Yeah.
This is, I am not well. Get this done. Yeah, I'm not good. I was and then immediately I was like, coffee? Yeah. Coffee? Hey, anyone coffee?
So is it caffeine or is it coffee? Can you do decaf?
No.
Yeah. No. You're decaf is why would you bother?
Definitely working at Fig Tree and stuff because, again, Greg and Sarah were great. We could have a French press whenever we wanted. And I'm pretty sure I would drink like 5 or 6 a day, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like no one should have that much caffeine. But I don't know, maybe if I allowed my body to not have it, I would be okay. But I also don't sleep that much either. Like I'm more of a night owl person than I am a morning person. Like we don't come in at 4 a.m. That is not
that's not a thing.
We don't do that here. But I go through like phases during the day where I'm like, oh my God, I'm tired, but then I'm good. And then for whatever reason at midnight, I'm like jazzed and ready to go again.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I worked in a restaurant for so long. Like you're just used to it. Like you're like, okay, like gonna be up till 1 or 2 in the morning anyway. Like here we are. But there's no way.
Yeah.
I think I continuously just drink coffee all day long, and I mix it with water.
I actually have to like consciously scale back my coffee intake. Like I always have a cup in the morning. I usually have to refrain from the second one because I always want it. I'm like, I want another cup. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold up because I know I'm going to want one later, right? Like I'm going to want a cappuccino or something like, you know, in the afternoon. So I'm like, oh, like I'm that guy, right? They're like in the middle. I'm like, I need a cappuccino in the middle of the day.
You're better than I am. I drink probably almost a full pot before I leave my house in the morning.
Yeah.
And then here at the bakery.
I used to. Yeah. I used to. Like it's been like a lot of like I'm also older than you. Like I'm old now. I'm 47 years old. Like I can't.
32. That's fine. We're all in the same bracket.
Yeah. But I don't need a pot of coffee. Sure. You know, like if I need a pot of coffee to get through a day, then I need to like refigure out what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, so I'm trying to like consciously like be more selective about my intake. Yeah. Right.
Well, and I think too, and this has been a long time though, but I used to smoke heavily, and especially like when I worked at Amelie's, like it was little Paris, like everybody just chain smoked. And so now like maybe it's just the fact of like just constantly drinking something, but I think I'm partially made of coffee at this point.
So a bunch of the chefs that work for me, they've worked with me for a long time, from like when I used to smoke. Like I was the guy, like we would go out to like have our smoke break, right? That's where we'd have like our meetings and talk about whatever. And I could smoke 3 cigarettes in the time that somebody would smoke one. Like I would just like literally inhale half a cigarette in one drag. People were just like, what the fuck, dude?
The kitchen life is stressful.
Yeah, it was a habit that I had to kick. Like it was time to go. If I want to last, at least.
Yes. Smoking is bad.
Don't smoke. Don't smoke. Quit smoking. If you want to taste your food, quit smoking.
Yes.
And that was another thing too, is I kind of realized that I hadn't realized until after I quit how kind of affected my palate was.
Sure.
You know, like it was muted. Yeah. And like food kind of came back alive again for me when I quit. Cause I was like, I could taste things that I couldn't taste before, or I could taste more acute things and I was like really inspiring to be like, oh shit. Okay.
There was a stint, you know, like at Fig Tree where like all of us would go on the back stoop and, you know, have a cigarette break and whatever. And like when I left and like, because right after I quit, like my mom passed and everything else, so there, like it was out of sight, out of mind. But for sure, like tasting different sauces and buttercreams and pastries, you're like, I didn't realize how much I kind of couldn't taste before this. Yeah. So it was eye-opening. It was good to not do that anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So cake's still going. Bread is the big thing. Everybody's fired up about bread. Do you just do? How big's your production for that stuff? You do like daily production, right? You're not doing like massive amounts of stuff and carrying it over from day to day.
We technically work like half a day ahead.
Okay.
And so a lot of our bread doughs are an overnight fermentation. We'll make certain stuff like, because we blow through cookies. Like I could probably at this point just hire one person just to make cookie dough. So we'll make the dough and put it in the cooler. Yeah. And then that way we can scoop it when we need it, just because we go through so much. But everything else is essentially made that day and put on the pastry cart.
Gotcha.
We have a 2-door cooler and then a freezer that kind of...
It's like a stand-up freezer?
Yeah,
like
there's like some IQF fruit in there, an ice cream bowl maker thing. That's about it, though. Like everything... I mean, we're all scratch here. Everything is literally made within the day and then brought out on the pastry cart.
That's awesome. Yeah. What's your favorite cookie?
I have a really love-hate relationship with this bourbon butter cream pie. it kind of pisses me off because like I get it. It's nostalgic. Everybody likes fucking oatmeal cream pies. I get it.
Right.
I get it. My twist was doing the bourbon butter because it's bourbon, brown sugar, heavy cream, all the things that are horrible for you, a couple other things melted, and we make like almost like an emulsion, thicker than a sauce, but not like a paste or anything. And that's put in the center. The cookies are soft, no nuts, no raisins. Has Italian buttercream on the outside, and then it's filled with that. Y'all get one. We'll give you guys one.
I'm getting weak in the knees over here. Tell me more.
And I think between that and our dark chocolate chunk cookie, people would riot if we ever took it off.
Yeah.
And I've said to other people, because and I sincerely appreciate the support of others, and they're like, I love this. This is amazing, and I'm like, we make so many other good fucking things. Why that? Like, I'm glad y'all buy it.
Yep.
It keeps y'all coming back.
Yeah.
But it kind of pisses me off.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, I'm really glad people love this.
Yeah.
So
it is what
it is.
You're not the only one. All chefs deal with this,
Yes.
like signature dish shit that they get stuck with, and it's usually not the thing that you want it to be.
Correct.
Right? It's not like, oh, I want to be known for this like amazing creation that I came up with. It's the pain in the ass cookie
familiar.
that's like 20 steps and like whatever, and then you're stuck with it.
Yeah. Till the apocalypse happens.
Yeah, like it took literally us changing our brand.
Yeah.
To a new restaurant concept for me to get rid of the 60-second steak that's been chasing me forever.
Yeah.
So that was a joy to finally take that off. I'm like, yes, we'll do something else.
Maybe one day we'll do a variation of it, but like right now, like people will
they would
call.
freak out,
I'll get probably like 6 to 7 calls on a Saturday. You still have the oatmeal creams, right? You still have it, and I'm like, yes.
Because of this phone call is why I have it.
Yes, and like,
so is it the fear that people will stop coming if they don't, or is it just, are you programmed to make people happy? Is it like people want this, so I want to have it?
I feel like with where our location is, we do need a few staples.
Yeah.
And then I love Charlotte's great. I wish that people had more adventurous palates, though.
Yeah.
People are just still very set in the familiar things.
Yes.
And like if y'all went and looked at the pastry cart right now, like we have a lot of weird stuff on right now since it's late summer, early fall. Mm-hmm. But people just, and even the dark chocolate chunk, people are like, this is the best cookie. I'm like, I'm glad. Like it took me a long time to like tweak that recipe, but I'm glad.
Yeah.
But I just wish that people were more apt to try different things, like super simple.
Yep.
We have a spicy dill pickle scone right now.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, badass, like pickles and habanero and cheese. Like, sign me up. Because another baker friend of mine, she kind of did something similar. And I messaged her. I was like, do you mind if I do my play on that? She was like, no, girl, go ahead. That's cool. And I was like, sweet. Because I like anything that has pickles or pickled or whatever.
Yeah, Corey's the pickle eater in our family.
Anything like vinegar based, I'm like, this way.
Yep.
And everyone's like, I don't know about that. And I'm like, just try it.
Yeah.
Just try it.
You need to slide one in the bag. Like you gotta do that whole just like, that drug dealer thing where you're like, here,
just gonna put one in there.
Here's your cookie and a little scone.
Yeah.
Just give it a whirl and just kind of like dose people with it. So to get them to try new things.
Yeah. I hope, because I was talking to someone the other day and because I love Chicago. Love Chicago. And of course New York's great because their food scene's amazing as it has been. But I wish that we would have more accepting palates like how they have in the bigger cities. Yeah. And we'll get there eventually.
I think so.
But until then, a million bourbon butter oatmeal cream pies.
Okay. So that's the most popular cookie.
Absolutely.
Is that your favorite? What is your favorite cookie to eat? What do you eat? Do you eat sweets?
Actually, I really like our macarons.
Yeah.
Just because I don't, and grouped in with how we make the stuff here, like I don't like pastries that are so sweet they make your teeth hurt. I just don't think that's enjoyable. Right. I think there needs to be a really good balance. And so macaron's a cookie, Yeah. They're not killer sweet, and I like the ones that are just simple, like coffee buttercream's great for me. Love that. Then like right now we have a salted caramel one. It's good. I don't like. It's fine for me. I'm
Yeah.
I'm so simple.
Yeah.
I would honestly rather have a giant like pan of roasted potatoes, but you know.
Yeah.
And truly, like the bourbon butter is great. The dark chocolate chunk cookie is really good because I put salt on everything, pastry wise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like that has.
I can't wait to taste this
yes.
stuff because I'm the guy. So I'm the chef, right? When all my pastry chefs bring like tastings, I bring out the flake salt,
Yes.
like with me, and I sit it. I'm like, okay, let's do the tasting, and we
Yeah.
start. I'm like, no, and I put like a little flake salt. I'm like, now taste it.
Yeah,
like your dessert is better with like just a little bit of salt. Like it brings
Balance,
out
baby.
yeah, it's so important.
I know. I told Troy at Motown. He was like, because we just partnered with them for spices,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, "Do you go through a lot of like other spices?" I was like, "I need flake salt.
Yeah.
I need a lot of
Buckets
flake
of
salt.
it.
Yes, that and the smoked one.
Yeah.
Just every order." He was
Yeah.
like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I was all like, "Give me the salt."
Yeah.
Yeah, we put on the scones, cookies.
Yep.
The breads are super salt forward, so
Yeah.
balance.
It's so
Yes,
important.
very important.
It's like, people don't think about that. Pedestrian folk, right? Like non-chefy cook people don't realize like the power of salt, right? Not just to make things salty like potato chips, but like to bring out all the other important subtle flavors in something, or even just to meld them.
Yeah.
Like not even just to highlight other flavors, but to like bring flavors together. It's pretty magical stuff.
Yeah, all of my front of house storefront people, they are food enthusiasts but don't have like food backgrounds, and so I try to give knowledge because, and like everyone has a million questions. What's in this? How is this made? Blah blah blah.
Right.
And so like every so often I'll be like, come back here, like
Check
come look
this
at
out.
this.
Yeah, this is how we make this. This is the
Yeah.
process. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
because again, everything's from scratch here. Like I made caramel the other day, and I was like, try the caramel just with the butter and heavy cream right now. And then I put acid in it, salt.
What's your
vanilla,
acid? Lemon?
Apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And
All right.
then
Good to know. Put that on my
Yes.
There's my,
little sweet,
Hold
little
on.
vinegary. And then I was like, now try it. And they were like, oh my God, this is so much better. I'm like, see,
yeah.
salt does so much.
Right.
And even, I mean, we'll like extra salt it for the salted caramel, but
Yeah.
I mean, our normal caramel's pretty salty.
That's awesome. What is your favorite things to make? Like, do you prefer doing cakes? Do you prefer doing cookies? Where is your interest from a creative standpoint?
Definitely the cakes. I'm glad that people want more bread. I love making bread. Before I even went to Johnson and Wales, the first bakery I ever worked in. I don't know if you'll remember this or not. Do you remember Down Home Baking Company?
It sounds familiar, but I don't.
Chris Strezpeck, she was the owner, and we would always hit Charlotte Regional Farmers Market. And remember where Fat Burrito was? There was a open lot across the street, and they would have a farmers market there. I think on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
We would be at all the farmers markets, and she was like the bread queen.
Yeah.
And she had a huge pizza oven on the back porch of her house because all of us baked inside her house, and we would just make all these crazy breads. And I remember being like, this is so fucking cool. Like, I love this. And that kind of just kept trailing with me through my career. And I, especially now, love making any kind of Italian bread or just like soft loaves or more like hearty loaves. So I'm glad people want more of that because that's kind of Yusuf is so technically sound. He made a pistachio snack cake, and that's slowly becoming one of the staples here. People ask for it all the time.
Yep.
And so that's kind of, his wheelhouse of stuff. And then I have another girl, her name's Stephanie. She's actually a savory chef.
Okay.
And she just randomly emailed me and was like, I just want to learn more about baking. I don't know anything enough to be confident. And I was like, yeah, just come bake with us. And now she is here all the time, but she brings so many fun flavors and different concepts and stuff to the menu. So we all kind of go full circle where we all have something different that we're adding to the menu.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super fun. What do you bake your bread in?
So we actually just have our deck oven.
Yeah.
It's that thing better never break.
Is that your only oven?
That is our
the deck?
only oven.
Okay.
We I think the three of us could win a Tetris competition between how much we bake. Because, our kitchen's not big by any means. And like I said, we have a very small cooler. We have 3 speed racks, and we're just, because of how everything goes out, like we're just constantly like moving and rotating things. Mm-hmm. Anything super delicate will get baked first. Macarons, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then like normally, especially because we do the overnight fermentation with the bread, we'll pull the bread out and let it sit and come to room temperature and get
do what it's got to do.
Get all nice and alive. And then we'll normally bake that last because that's all done on like 450.
Yeah.
And we do have the stones that we'll put in there and all of that, but just one oven. We're tiny but mighty here.
Yeah, wow.
Small team.
What's your brand of deck oven?
Oh gosh.
Do you even know?
Whatever I got off Webstront.
Yeah. Blodgett or some.
Someone told me they're like, buy everything used. And I was like, I'm actually going to get a brand new oven and a brand new cooler. I was like, because I'm about to beat the hell out of this thing. So we're just going to.
And I don't need this thing to break like 3 weeks in when I'm trying to like figure my business out. And now I'm like in crisis management mode.
Yeah. And definitely been there with we have a new freezer now, but like at the time, like our freezer went out and I was like, this is not what I want to do right now. I was like, I just want to get this fixed. I just want to be done. This is a nightmare.
Yes.
So if our oven can't ever go.
She's going to be great.
Yes. She's a long survivor.
Does she have a name? Have you named your oven?
I haven't named my oven, but we've named all of our mixers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any like other weird traditions in your kitchen? Like in the Church and Union kitchen in Charlotte, we still have the original. It's like my lucky rock. Somebody gave me a rock. It's like almost brick size.
Okay.
Right? And it's this really cool orange rock. And they gave it to me, I think, the week that we opened.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, this is a lucky rock. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I put it on the pass. And it's been literally on the pass.
Just hanging out.
For 11 years. It's been
Maybe
sitting
there's something to it.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, well, no, but this can't go anywhere now. Like now it's become superstition, right? I'm like, if this goes away, everything crumbles. Do you have any like weird little like superstitions or quirky?
So it's weird because if y'all come into the kitchen, y'all will see it because people will see it and they're like, what the fuck is that doing up there? But above the like coffee area, there's a breaker box, and randomly some kid left like this weird little dinosaur figurine, and we found it and I was like, oh, this is cute, like put it up here and watch over the kitchen. And then we had 2 more figurines left, and so we have like this like pack of animals on top of this breaker box, and I joked, I was like, they just watch over the kitchen and make sure everything's good, and so there's
the birth of a superstition.
Here
there
we
it
are,
is.
and I'm like,
there it is.
One of my staff members was like, we could just toss it. And I was like, I don't know, just leave it.
It's best
fine.
if you don't.
It's cool.
Yeah. When we're cleaning, just give them a wipe down.
Yeah,
if you just dust them off a little bit, that would be great.
Yeah,
just leave it right there.
Hit with the Febreze fluffer thing.
You don't want to risk it, right?
Yeah.
Things are going, you're like, maybe there's something to it, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
The good juju.
Yeah, we also actually just moved. I have a weird thing about like bells on doors because I feel like it brings good luck.
So you like that?
Yes.
Okay. Bells on doors is a good thing.
Bells on doors is a good thing. And I recently just took the ones we had hanging on the doorknob off just because kids would play with them and it would be really loud.
Right.
But we have the bell up front now up on the door, but I have the original ones hanging in the back on the back kitchen door to go out. And for a moment, just because we've had them since the start, and I was like, oh, I could toss these or take these home. And then I was like, I don't think I can. I was like, there's something. We got to keep it like at least on the back side of the kitchen or something.
So you have a superstitious streak.
Yes.
But nothing that you're like is hardcore like okay.
No, nothing too crazy.
All right.
It's still a new enough kitchen. I probably should have had something at the saw kitchen so we didn't get murdered, but we were only there for a year. We survived, yes.
Cool. What else? I want to talk. So let's talk about cakes a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because your cakes are super cool. We're gonna post some like pictures of your stuff. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your kind of style? So we're at an hour right now.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna ask you a couple more questions.
That's fine.
I don't take much. So how would you describe your style? And then is there an approach when you're trying to, if somebody's reaching out to you to do a wedding cake, let's say Corey and I, right? How do you approach the guest or the customer or whatever? And do you have a system for that? Is there an approach that you take? Is there flavor profiles that you like?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for you?
So whether it's just a custom cake or a wedding cake, it is priced the same no matter what. I know some people get deterred because you slap wedding on something and it costs $3,000 more, but we don't do that here. Everything is priced per portion. And then when it comes to ordering, and people can do this with a birthday cake or anniversary cake if they choose to, but you can set up an in-person tasting. And with the tastings, it's just 4 seasonal flavors of cake and then 4 to 5 different buttercreams and fillings, and it's all disassembled. That way you can taste the cake by itself, you can taste the buttercreams and fillings by themselves, and then mix and match them.
Gotcha.
And then from there, whether you do the tasting or you don't, I don't like and I get the convenience factor of having a website where you can just like click on things.
Yep.
I want our clients and customers to feel like there's more of a like hands-on like connection when they're talking. I mean, you're spending a lot of money on something. I don't want you to have to just go through this like technology field and be like, well, there's my cake that's $150.
Right.
And and this is just me. Like, I also, if it were me, I would be like, what if I don't want vanilla and chocolate?
Right.
And we're a gourmet bakery. We might as well be gourmet. So like, if y'all want to chat cake, I'd be like, you tell me what flavor profiles you like. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we'll create 4 to 5 different custom flavor profiles for you. Mm-hmm. And you can either choose one of those, or if like, you're like, oh my God, these 2 are amazing, then we'll marry them and make the one cake.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then just, I guess, design wise, I love like in general, abstract expressionism anyway. Mm-hmm. So you can probably see a lot of that on the cake.
Yeah, totally.
I don't love doing children's cakes.
Why not, Sam?
Parents are assholes.
Can you do Cookie Monster?
Yeah, I don't love. Actually, have denied a lot of children's cakes as of late. I had a really horrible experience with one just because, and it was a learning experience for me as well. But advice to anyone who, especially children's cakes, make them send you pictures for inspiration. Always. Mm-hmm. Don't let someone say, just do what you want, because that is not always a good thing.
Right. So what happened?
They were pissed because they said do something cool, and to me I thought it was. Yeah. And it was not what they had imagined. And I get it, like I can't see in her brain, I can't see in your brain. I don't know what y'all are thinking. Yep. I know what I think is cool, but it doesn't necessarily mean you will. Right. They were very upset. Not nice words were exchanged, and I was just like, you know what? Especially at this point in my career, I'm just like, fine. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna fight you if you're this unhappy. Like we don't ever have to do business. Like sorry. Right. Like I'm so sorry you weren't happy. Yeah. But it is what it is. Yeah. And after that, I was just like, you know what? My nephew is 2 years old. I'll make his birthday cake. Yeah.
And he'll like it.
And he'll like it because I looked at Lindsay. I was like, this cake is free. You're going to like it. Yeah.
This is cool. Got it?
Yeah. Smile. Smile for the pictures. But yeah, like, and then close friends or other family members, if they want a kid's cake, that's fine. And then long-standing customers, like I have this one lady who's been coming to me since day one for her son's cake. That's fine. Like we're on board.
Yeah, you've got fine. that relationship over time.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, and if someone wanted to do some super modern cake, I had someone who actually sent me like a watercolor painting. They just wanted replicated on a cake. That was badass. I was like, more of these. Let's do this.
Do you have pictures of that?
I do.
I want to see that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like,
were you happy with how it came out? Are you like super artsy fartsy like that? Are you like, can you do like,
if I have the time to sit down and like do it, I think that I can make it happen. I was very happy with it.
That's cool. So how did you do that? Did you do that with like different buttercreams and pastes and
Buttercreams and
like pigments and stuff? Like how do you?
Home Depot is my favorite store, or Lowe's, because there's lots of palette knives and spackle knives.
Yeah.
I actually do have a Craftsman toolbox that all of
We're gonna look through that. I'm gonna get some video of that because that was my next question.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about your toolkit. Like, what is your go-to toolkit?
My offsets.
Yeah.
Always.
Offset spatulas.
Always.
Different shapes, sizes. You got like.
I have the 4-drawer Craftsman that I think y'all will see it. There's stickers all over it. She's been through a lot.
Yeah.
But first drawer is all the offsets. Second drawer is all the knives. One drawer is nothing but cutters. Another drawer is all the weird like fondant tools and spoons. Lots of spoons.
Yeah.
And then random piping tips.
So do you like when you apron up? Do you have all your your offsets like sticking out? Like all the chefs have their tweezers all chefied out. Are you like
I will say
the spatula girl?
Unless I'm at an event, I don't actually put my chef coat on much anymore, which is fine. We all
for you.
Yeah, it's fine. We all have our bake and cake t-shirts here. I do have 2 particular offsets that are off limits because they're like they're super straight. So for the leveling of the cakes and stuff, I'm like, no one touches these.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 giant like construction spackle knives that I use to like ice the sides of the cake. Mm-hmm.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so tricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go to your tool shop.
Yes.
Go into the hardware section.
Yes.
That's where you get the gear.
Anyone who wants to do cakes, like screw Michael's, don't go there.
Yeah.
Go to Lowe's.
Yeah,
go
get
to Home
the
Depot.
heavy duty.
Yes. And then
do you have a brand? Do you have a tool brand of choice?
What's the blue and gray one?
Cobalt or
Cobalt.
It's
yeah,
Cobalt,
yeah,
right?
their stuff's good.
Yeah.
I like their stuff.
Yeah, they got good stuff. I've been spending a lot of time in the tool department lately, so I'm like, do I want Milwaukee? Do I want like which? I don't know.
Yeah, and then just for any, culinary chefs too, but for any pastry chef, best tool in the entire world is the blowtorch.
Yeah.
I always suggest everyone having one.
Why?
You need heat for certain stuff all the time. And not just for cakes, but like demolding stuff, trying to like get certain things, like if your buttercream's too cold and you're trying to whip it back up.
You don't want to wait.
Yeah.
Like room temperature can be a bitch.
That torch is prized possession back there.
Nice.
Yeah, but just t-shirts for us here, and we have our aprons and we're super casual, but I have my tweezers for our gold leaf. We don't really like tweezer up for that. I haven't put microgreens on something in a hot minute.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I got those cantaloupe ones from Mawabawa Farms, and those were delightful.
Were they good?
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
bought
interesting.
a container for me and made a salad out of it. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite fruit to cook with? Not just to eat like straight, like to incorporate into either a cake or dessert or
probably like all the like squash stuff, like butternut squash, pumpkin, all of that kind of stuff. Especially I like the fall baking.
Yeah.
More so.
Have you ever had a cavaillon melon?
Have not.
I had it. So it's a French. It's a tiny French cantaloupe.
Oh.
It's like
Sounds adorable.
It looks like an adorable little cantaloupe, but it tastes like a cantaloupe like hulked out.
Oh,
like
I need one of these.
Intensely sweet, so much juice it like squirts all over your face when you like bite into it. They're amazing.
I'm gonna have to get some of those.
Try to get some. I've been kind of fantasizing about them lately because like you don't see them very much, and you can special order them. I've done it a couple times over the years. They're expensive, but there's nothing like it. Like they're incredibly insane.
Well, I'll say that too. Like, I don't want. Price is important.
Yeah.
Cost is important.
Sure.
But again, quality over quantity and that type of stuff here, like whether it be like certain stuff from Fresh List or whatever, like we've been incorporating a lot more like mushrooms into pastries and like more kumquats and all of that kind of stuff. Like I don't mind paying for that kind of stuff because if it brings some more weird pastries out of the kitchen, I'm for it. Since we're selling so many of the bourbon butter milk cream pies.
How much are you using like Fresh List and local farms to get
Every
your
week.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then Gordon's.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Like I'm really particular about the flour, and they carry all the King Arthur flours.
So King Arthur's your brand?
Only.
That's your jam?
No bleached flour.
Yeah.
Bad. Bleached flour is bad.
Why is it bad?
It messes up the flavor
Okay.
like composition of the pastries.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yep.
All right. Sweet. What else? Am I missing anything? Anything else you want to talk about? Tools, cakes.
We listen to a lot of Tool in the kitchen whilst doing cakes.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is that your go-to? What's your
Tool, A Perfect Circle. We listen to.
Are you a Maynard? You're a Maynard.
I love Maynard.
Yeah, he's a weird. He's a weird
guy.
cat.
I like him. A lot of Zeppelin.
Okay.
A lot of Duran Jones.
All right.
Black Pumas.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh my gosh. Great. Y'all
right.
should listen to
Yeah,
them. You
well,
should look them up.
Black. Do you know who that is? No. Black Pumas. All right. Cool.
Sound
Okay. So
like
okay.
Prince-ish.
Here's a good. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like
Anything,
that. Yeah.
Me
very
and Yusuf are big Prince people.
Okay, cool. I'm a Prince person too. What if you had to pick one jam, kitchen jam, to get you in your zone? What is it? You can only have one.
In the Evening by Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because you're going to start off slow and then you just feel like,
build
yes.
up. Yeah. Boom. I like it.
Yes.
That's all, mine's actually "Want to Dance with Somebody" from Whitney.
I love it.
which freaks people out sometimes.
I feel like Mike Knowles said that was one of his favorite songs too.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not
So there
surprised.
you go.
I'm not
There you
surprised.
go.
Yeah. Me and Mike are a little weird. But yeah.
Hey, at least y'all like Whitney.
Yeah, and, you know, and it drives some of my chefs crazy because like when I'm on the pass, like that's the tradition. At 5 o'clock,
Whitney.
I Want to Dance with Somebody comes on. It's always I Want to Dance with Somebody, and everybody's just like, here we go. Like it's just that beginning where it just gets all like funky.
In all fairness, when I hired Yusuf and then later Stephanie, I was like, sorry in advance, but I'm about to sing a lot, like ugly sing.
Yeah, I'm not good.
I think they were just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure. And I was like, no, this is bad. Like I will like scream the Prince part, and you're gonna be like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So they're fed up too because Bylon Mose came on the other day. Stephanie starts dying, and I'm all like, ooh, let's
I'm feeling this.
Let's Enrique this. This is great.
That's too funny. All right, so Zeppelin is your jam.
Yes.
Cool. Anything else?
I think so.
It's been fun, man.
It has. It's nice to finally meet
Yeah.
you guys and catch up.
It's so nice to finally meet and catch up. And thanks for sharing your story.
Of course.
We may have to have a redo as I think about things that I forgot to ask you. I want to get you back on here.
Yeah, I would love to be back.
And then good luck with everything.
Thank you.
I can't wait
And
to
good
try
luck
some
with y'all. And then can't wait to chat wedding.
Yes, we'll talk wedding. We got a year, so we got to start
Yes.
figuring that out.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.